And now, The Bonfire with Big J. Oakerson and Dan Soder.
Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95. We are the bad boys of Sirius XM quarantine comedy.
Dude, I know that the episodes are airing like days after, but we didn't even get that intro. The one intro we asked for, we didn't get.
No,
Live Aid.
We did the Laugh Aid thing. The Laugh thing we did the other night, which was so fun. What's really funny is I came in late because of whatever that system was they had, like, booted me off, and I heard this from a few people that Patton Oswalt gave me an actual, like, Brian Baldinger told me yesterday that Patton Oswalt gave me, like, a glowing introduction. Yeah. And I right away just dismissed him as Ratatouille.
It was great. Yeah. Well, first off, I cut you off. Obviously, I'm Dan Soder. That's Big J. Oakerson. We got Jacob Patat, Black Lou, Christine, and joining us, Joe DeRosa, rocking a V-neck DeRosa. It was weird being around for your glowing intro, Jay, and then he just gave me the other guy intro. He was like, Big J has parted the seas. He has saved orphans. This guy is so goddamn funny. And he does a radio show with this guy, Dan Soder.
Jay, and then I was like, solved comedy.
Yeah, and then for me, he goes, I think I heard Dan Soder on Opie and Anthony once in 2012. Dan Soder. And it's just me there to be like, hey, Patton, how are you?
No, he said you do an amazing impression of somebody. He really beefed up an impression you do, or not beefed it up, but you know what I mean? Like, spouted out about it.
Oh, Nancy Grace, which I was like, yeah. No, that's literally, you can tell he heard me once on Opie and Anthony when I did a Nancy Grace bit. Like, you can tell it's like the one thing where he's like, I saw this guy in the hall and he just walks around looking carefree. Anyways, he's here. The other guy that I sucked his dick verbally is so.
Sutter, he gave you the when you're trying to bang a female comic move. He listened to one joke and then went, that bit is so funny.
Good. And you walked in at the end of the set, didn't you? And you go, I did.
I saw the whole thing, thank you. Because if I thought that the last 30 seconds is my favorite part, and
then Jay came in late and was like, hey, where did Ratatouille go? And I was like, well, I think he went to wipe the cum off his chin from sucking your dick. And then I had to give him a Dixie cup to spit in.
Me and Joey Dude Meat have been exchanging, talking each other just down from pure on hit the streets and madness paranoia.
What's the paranoia about today, boys? I think you guys should just do a side podcast called Off the Ledge, and it's just for the quarantine where you guys just talk yourselves off every day.
The bummer of today is that it's supposed to be, it's not supposed to be. It's beautiful out here in New York, but the idea was to go on our buddy Wayne's roof today. Just the three of us, me, Christine, and Joe. Stay far apart, go up separately. Mask, gloves, the whole thing. And it's just like today's the first day where they really brought down the announcement. They were like, please don't go outside unless you have to get your cancer medicine, and you're like, fuck, man.
I didn't see that intro. Are they doing a mandatory lockdown now?
No, it's not. There's mandatory. They can't do that.
They can't do this.
They can't do the mandatory lockdown. Everyone keeps worrying about that. It's a bad worry, I think. I mean, maybe I'm naive.
There's a girl once a week outside of the apartment on the streets that just does yoga right on the sidewalk.
Wow.
That's Jesus Christ.
Is she hot?
She's okay.
Wow. Goodbye.
Yeah, I wish. Again, she's all right. She's a quarantine 9.5. Regular life, she's like a 6'5".
Yeah, dude. Quarantine's like a threesome. This thing will buff a 5 up to a 7.
Dude, I'm gonna start
real fast.
I'm gonna start jerking off to papers with scents on them like prisoners. Just like I'm like a lady touch this one.
Smells like her.
I could
smell it.
But me and Joe, we don't know what to do because, like, I'm telling you, for the few minutes that there was sun out back of my house where I went out there earlier to smoke a butt, it was like the sun on my face made me feel so. I woke up at 7:30. I've been up since 7:30 today. Just like my ears are still fucked.
I told Katie, I was like, we should go to bed when it gets dark and wake up when it's light, like fucking cavemen.
I mean, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, here's the other problem. We're coming up on not a lot of light again because this is like the day, and then it goes right back to like shit for. I a week again or something. Let me look here.
It's fucking brutal, man. It's fucking brutal. I was at the grocery store today. Wore a mask for the first time ever. Had to take off my glasses because it doesn't let you breathe in a way that doesn't fog up your glasses.
Oh man, you look like you're always seeing a babe in an 80s movie. You're like, squeak, 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 squeak. Well, hello, Mrs. Greenball.
Like this in a produce, I went. Fucking brutal. So I couldn't see what I was. Yeah.
Let me give you a heads up here, just to tell you what's going on. From today until the 20th, of this month. From today until then, hang on. Let me make sure I have this right here. From today until then, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 days of no rain from today. the next 2 weeks. 10 days of rain.
I would say, Jay, just go Wayne's Roof. Just go do it. Today's the day.
I think so, Joey.
I think you guys should just do it just to fucking go do it.
Terrified to, number one.
Sure.
I almost started crying in the supermarket this morning. So that's just the first
Just
thing.
because of how beautiful the produce looked, or
Dude,
I know you're a real. I know you're a vegophile. Were you touching all the vegetables as a vegophile? You're like, ooh.
You're not going to enjoy this.
What'd you say?
You're going to be in your head. I don't feel like any of you are going to enjoy it.
Oh, what, going to the rooftop?
That's how I feel.
I think when I'm there, I'm going to feel really good.
It's going to haunt you for the next 10 days afterward that you think you caught something.
Actually,
at this point, I'm ready to fucking hop in a car and drive to my fucking dad's in Ohio. Gary, good for something.
Oh, dude, what a great time to cash in the shitty dad ticket. I'm gonna go dig my dad up. I'm gonna go dig my dad up and hide with him.
I wish I had a car, man. I'd be fucking out of here.
Would you really, Joe? If you had a car, you'd be gone.
And a coffee too, dude.
Dude, well, you know what? Coffee's in cars. If you're a comedian in a car getting coffee,
I'd pick up a few comedians on the way. Interview them.
Bailing in cars with coffee.
Yeah. I'm out of here, man. This coffee's hot.
I had a car. I know enough. I know people that I could quarantine in their houses for 2 weeks, and that would probably be down with it, and then come out. Fuck even quarantining with somebody. I would go rent a place and just go something. I just can't. I was telling Jay and Christine this the other day. My hallway in my building looks like it's going to give you AIDS on just a regular Tuesday, dude. It's like the pandemic and all this, just to get my mail. Just to get my fucking mail, dude, the gloves, the shoes, the coming back in, the sanitizing, everything. It's 3 flights down through a fucking tenement building hallway. That's just to get the mail. Fuck having to go to the grocery store. That's a whole other thing.
I had to wear a bandana to the grocery store like a bandito.
Yeah.
I look like I was about to rob it. Yeah. And I have the voice for it. If I ask for anything, if I just go, hey, where's the sugar? They're like, fuck it. The security guard kicks his gun to me. He's like, oh, fuck. Paper. Hey, are you guys all out of paper towels? I'm like, we don't keep money here. It's in a safe. We deposit it every night.
Yeah. Are there paper towels in the back?
Yeah. but Joe, you're saying the hallway you walk down, you're afraid you're catching viruses. It's all families in this building. So I walk out into the hallway. I feel like I'm giving everyone it. Everyone's like, I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to get the mail.
I realize my fears of all of it are probably too hyper or whatever. But the thing is when every when every morning you wake up, sorry guys.
No, you're good.
When every morning you wake up, I was telling Jay today, I'm like, they're burying any good news, anything nice that has, Cuomo saying there was a potential drop off in deaths. That stuff's all getting buried down, and they're hitting you every day with not only buckle up for the worst 2 weeks, but New York is the worst place.
Dude, it has people calling me.
Strain of it. I can't do it. You know?
Yeah, I get it because I'm getting calls from people that, like people in my life I haven't talked to in forever. And they're like, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, why? They're like, because on the news, they're saying coronavirus is going door to door and butt fucking everyone in New York. And you're like, no, I'm okay. I don't think anyone's doing that. Like, I've been in the apartment for 2 weeks and that's a lot. But they're like, no. I heard it comes to your house and it makes fun of the one thing that you don't like about your body. And then it just fucking makes you feel like shit. But it is.
Hip hop, which used to be my favorite news source.
Yeah.
They're all about the gloom. First of all, black people have adopted the theory that none of this coronavirus is real. It's actually 5G network is what's doing that. It's so crazy.
The 5G network conspiracy theory is the dumbest and my favorite theory. Where it's
what is that one?
And by the way, I'm actually a 5G skeptic, because I remember reading all these articles last year that they were testing 5G in China, and they found out that 5G was really bad for pregnant women. It was causing cancer in certain people that lived in the 5G towers. And they were like, and the phone companies and all the internet providers were just rushing it in America to get the 5G active in the United States because it was, faster speeds. The companies could charge more. So they started doing it.
Do you need your internet to be?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. But in Astoria, I want to say 5 months ago, this group put up all of these pieces of these pamphlets on, Jacob, did you see them? That said, this is a proposed 5G site. Go to this website, and it was the problems with 5G. It was all up and down my block and near the grocery store, near the C-Town. And I was like, oh shit, this is kind of like the article I read. But then the coronavirus came out, and then everyone's like, dude, this is 5G spreading it. And you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, because all the things I've read about 5G are it causes cancer, it causes cell mutation, and it causes all this. But a virus, I don't see, how are they saying that it causes this?
They're saying 5G is the reason we're all so susceptible to it, is probably what it is.
Oh, that it's lowering our
defenses, maybe.
It would be really funny is if you guys
made Jacob panic. I saw Jacob just gave a panic breathe.
Yeah, because he wrapped himself in his blanket. Oh no!
Jacob looks like he's getting ready to tell his followers to now drink the Kool-Aid together so we could all die.
Jacob,
put on your special sneakers. It's time to meet the comet.
Jacob went to his happy space. Jacob, go to your happy space.
Yeah.
I'm terrified of every time I cough. I think I have a dry cough symptom.
Yep, me too.
Oh man, last night Jay called me just because we were talking about how much fun we had doing Live Aid with DeRosa and Sal, and he called me, and dude, I was on the couch going from sweating, taking off my sweatshirt, being cold, and I felt tired and just oh shit. And I was like, man, maybe I'm sick. I was watching WrestleMania, and I was like, man, I don't know if I feel all right. Then by the end of WrestleMania, I was like, oh shit, this has happened twice to me, where I've been like, am I sick? Is this it? Am I about to go through it? And then I'm just like, oh no, not really. Maybe I'm just a paranoid bitch.
If I don't take Xanax when I go to sleep, I wake up in the middle of the night sweating profusely.
I've woken up every night at 4 o'clock.
Then I'm cold as shit. And I got to get under and as soon as I'm under the blankets again, my palms are sweating all the time.
Well, I mean, I've gotten I've woken up, I think, every night 2 hours after I've gone to sleep. I wake up and I can't go to bed. I piss. I'm getting morning wood like a sumbitch. Anyone else just back fucking boners in the morning?
My dude is dead, dude.
Me and Christine had a half-hearted pork sesh last night.
Yeah.
It was
half-hearted?
Yeah,
you're an asshole.
You guys warmed up some leftovers?
You can see me and her were both jittery and uncomfortable last night, and then it was just like this, I guess.
What's funny is the new post-coital thing to do is just check your phone for bad news. Just after sex, you roll over and you go, did you see this? Taiwan, everyone's dying.
I'm with Dan. I've been super horned up.
All right.
So, Joe,
Supernatural is real. I started watching that. There's hot chicks. Every episode is driving me nuts.
Also, you're at your mom's house, Jacob, so you do have the...
I know where to go.
Yeah, beating is a forbidden fruit.
Yeah, so that's actually more of a turn on. And then I started watching Outlander, and there's hot Scottish Highlander sex in every episode, and that's turning me on.
Hey, do you ever enjoy the stories?
No, he's just there for the TNA.
I tried watching Super. Well,
episode 3. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Oh no, I tried watching Supernatural, and I'm not in the right state of mind because I got mad at it. I was like, I'm too volatile right now. The first episode where they were like, so let me get this straight. We got to go town to town fighting monsters till we find our dad. I was like, oh, fuck you. Your fucking obvious plot.
That was the moment of the show where I looked at Christine and I was like, oh, this is great. I like it. It was just so on the nose, the idea goes, so you tell me this. Every episode, we're going to find out a weird thing happening in a city and then go to that city and in 40 minutes wrap up that supernatural crime.
Oh, I almost spit taked.
That's the best part. They actually defeat whatever this being is in the last minute of the show.
Yes, and it's
the evil being so quickly.
Everything is defeated very easily. It's not
climactic.
Once they have the problem identified, like what it is. Once they've solved the problem, whether this is they go, all right, what are we dealing with? Ghost, demon, god, haunting, like pagan god or haunting. Once they find out what they're dealing with, they pop that trunk and they have one thing that is just no problem. Like at 0 hour, 40 into 42 minutes, they go, all right, so we have a ghost here. He goes, so, we have to get the salt shotgun bullets that are filled with rock salt. And it's like, all right. And then they shoot it and they go, all right, kids, don't ever walk around haunted places again. And then they leave.
That's pretty good. They come in like supernatural handymen. Yeah, you had a busted pipe. That was it. The whole thing's solved.
Yeah. They defeat the evil being within 1 minute, and then there's always a wrap up where the smoking hot girl thanks them for saving their life. And then that's the end of the show, and on to the next one.
Yeah, not one of those brothers have never for the other one been like, dude, go take like a half hour, an hour, and we'll just leave in an hour. Go bang that shit.
If Supernatural was real, that would absolutely be a thing where he goes, hey, by the way, dude, Werewolf Town is like 45 minutes away. We can get it done under an hour. If you want to go fucking dust that thing off, dude, you just saved her from
Go have a half-hearted pork.
The third episode.
Go get a hand job from a...
Sorry.
No, Jacob, what were you saying?
The third episode in the first season has maybe one of my all-time favorites, Amy Acker, who plays a mom. Wears like a belly shirt. It's the one where there's an evil being in the water and it's drowning people.
Good episode.
Great. And she's the mom to this, 10-year-old boy. I don't know when she had this kid. Must have been 14.
Yeah.
Rocking body.
And the kid, by the way, she's just accepted that the kid has danced with evil now, the little boy, and he hasn't talked since he saw it. And by the way, just so you know, there's other things involved in her day besides that. You know what I mean by that? What I'm saying, like, just like I'm saying here, like how hard, like doing Bonfire is such a reprieve, but it even takes me 15 minutes of doing this where my body stops being like, the world's falling apart around us. What's going on? We're all going to die. We got this thing. 5G's killing us now. You know what I mean? Like it takes a while to get out of that. These people who have danced with evil and had all this horrible death and supernatural death around them. At one point, she's like, oh, I was just on my way to the market. You want me to point out where your guy's hotel is for you? Follow me. I'll give you a walk. And it's like, who's this? He goes, it's my son. He hasn't talked since he saw a poltergeist a few years ago, but I don't know. He just draws pictures of evil and doesn't really explain them. But besides that, if you guys are hungry, there's a great burger place up there, and Ned from the diner is the best.
Dude, anyone doing errands in between being plagued by evil?
It's crazy.
Where you go, well, yeah, I mean, our house eats children, but also, like, I got to go down, I got to pay my bills, I got to take a run to Home Depot, pick up some lumber.
Yeah, my phone's acting wonky. I think I'm due for an upgrade, so I'm going to go over to the Verizon store, see if I can bang that out.
Jay, I want to point out also the super hunky one with the Jansen Eccles.
I know who you mean.
Oh, you mean Top Dog? Well, there's there's the looks and the personality.
It must be. It's weird being a hunk and not being the good-looking one. Because they're both good-looking one, and one of them's not the hunk.
The hunk is the short hair one.
Yeah.
They're both pretty dreamy, but yeah, one of them is the dangerous one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
One's saying stuff you would never say to anyone, but he's so hot. It's just he's given this pass.
Yeah, dude, hot people law. Hot people get to talk in different ways and act different ways in rooms. They can just fucking. That's why you're seeing a lot of like hot people get exposed through the quarantine, where they're still trying to make content, but they're just like fucking stuck, and their hotness isn't in the room, so it can't melt you like the sun.
Yeah, dude, those fucking wheels are in the mud now, dude.
Yeah, you're pushing it, ain't getting any traction, honey. And they're just like, you know what I love is macchiatos, and you're like, shut up. No one likes macchiatos. You know what I like? Breathing outdoor air.
Yeah, I can't believe not one of these guys on Supernatural have banged. We're about episode 13 or something like that, 14. They never just give the one guy a pass. Every episode, someone generally wants to fuck one of them, and like pretty open about it.
Would they? Do you think it would be a better show? And this is someone that's never watched an episode of the series. Would it be a better show if they just started being real about it and being like, dude, go fuck her. Fuck her.
It would be funny if he did, if he just comes in the car at the end. Like, he's like, if he just goes off with a chick for a minute and then gets back in the car and then goes into his jacket pocket and pulls out panties and like smells them. Like, dude, that out.
He goes, there ain't nothing supernatural about that. He goes,
talk about salt pellets, am I right?
Yeah.
That is 100% the real deal.
This is natural.
He goes, smell that. Guess who didn't make that? A ghost. That's human girl gunk.
He goes, hey, Sammy, I got slimed.
These guys are leaving every town, leaving every woman with a pocket full of girl snot.
Yeah, all these girls are, by the way, because I can't believe that paranormal investigator didn't fucking. I was winging pussy at this guy. Why did he come at me?
They all give him the fuck me eyes, and not one of them is banging. It's crazy.
He goes, yeah, he solved our problem with ghosts and made me wash all my panties because I was gunking him up, talking to him about how he saved our fucking
By the way, they're so hot, these two guys, that also, Jacob will back this up. Every episode also, they get exposed for lying about who they are at first, and the girls are never all that upset. And they'll come in, they'll be like, hey, we're here to talk about your father who just died tragically and mysteriously. He goes, I'm a buddy of his from back in the day. I used to work under him at the old truck yard or something like that. And they're like, oh my God, well, thanks for coming to visit. And then they find out, like, well, I looked up your name and you're not a 5'7" black guy from New Jersey that came up with that name. And then they're like, and they're very angry. He goes, how could you lie to me and come into my house like that? And he's like, hey, I actually fight ghosts. And they're like, well, I guess that's okay. That's cool, I guess.
Dude, what a fucking funny. If you take that excuse out of Supernatural and try to use it in anything when a man gets caught lying, they'd be like, you're a fucking sociopath. Stop still lying. And you're like, dude, babe, I hunt ghosts. That's just what I do.
Also, no idea how they have money. They have IDs that will say they're anything just upon anything they need. They go, you know, it'd be good here. Like if we showed up as sheriffs, like, hey, we have badges with our names and shields and the whole thing. Like, where? And he goes, should we get a hotel room? Like, with what money? They're not solving paranormal situations for cash.
Yeah, there's not a payout where it was like, get rid of my ghosts. Yeah. I'll give you $500.
Their father hasn't worked a job since they were children, and their mother died under supernatural circumstances.
What if
makes money, but they never don't have money?
What if they're all grifters, and it turns out they're just stealing all these ladies' identities? That they're like, we don't fuck them physically, we fuck them financially. We get their socials, we drive up credit card debt.
I will say, I think I watched the show again. I watched 35 minutes of episode 1 and got furious and shut it off. But I have shuffled through the thumbnails. I have gone through the season thumbnails, and I will say in the later seasons, they do appear to have more of an X-Files presentation to them. They seem like they're more suited up So maybe money comes into the fold at some point. Maybe at some point they.
We saw the first recurring character is going to come back because there are apparently like because people know that I'm watching it now, or like saying like, wait till you get to like Lilith and that recurring character. My stepfather told me too, they start getting very into he goes, well, wait till you see when the angels start getting involved. I'm like, shit.
It is a thought of
there's angels.
The final reveal should be that an oil sultan is just like he's just funding this to distract him from taking all these women.
Dan, that's the only plausible excuse.
He goes, I had a ghost in my house, and these two hot boys solved my problem for me. So now I bankroll whatever they like, and they tell me of their sexy adventures. Their one rule is they cannot have sex with women. Only men.
All they can do is they promise me that every night at 8 p.m. Eastern American time, they will hop on webcam and masturbate for me.
I watch them shoot their ghost loads all over. Not gay. I pay for gay.
Dean, come on, we got to go to this next city. He's like, Sammy, it's 8 o'clock. Come on, dude. You know what we got to do. Time to pay the piper, right, bro.
He goes, all right. He goes, you want to do it here in the truck?
He goes, well, I don't know. How do you expect to fucking get to Milwaukee if we don't have any money? We have to go talk to the Sultan.
He goes, who controls the cat? Or their voices when he comes on the FaceTime where he goes, and he goes, hello, boys. And they go, hi, Sheik. We're ready to dance for you. Hi, Sheik. Bling, 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 bling. To the tip, Sheik.
I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you come. Yes? Yes.
You know I take care of your sexy boys and your Jeffrey Dean Morgan father.
Dude, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, a little spoiler alert here, not that it matters, but Jeffrey Dean Morgan, one of the episodes, they finally do get a hold of him. I guess they couldn't afford him very much because he is been in 2 episodes for a cumulative 3 minutes. And one of them is just to keep the story rolling. He just payphone calls one of them, and he goes, where are you at, Dad? He's like, I don't want to tell you, but here's exactly where I'm at in Portland. They're like, what are you doing in Portland? He goes, I'm going to solve that thing, whatever that thing is that killed your mom. And then I go, really? Let us come help you. He's like, it doesn't work like that, son. Don't come find me in Portland.
Portland, Oregon.
Wait,
right by the Voodoo Donuts. Oh.
Yeah.
They already found him?
No. He called.
He's missing.
Yeah.
So you don't see him when he calls. You just hear, but I'm saying, though, they know he's alive because the first episode, the whole thing is like our dad's missing. I thought that was going to be the entire series.
No. Eventually, something to do with angels. But I think my father's watched it all. He does say, though, he goes, I mean, there's definitely, I can tell you the parts where people will say this show jumped the shark for sure.
Dude, I love the idea of someone that has watched the show and is up to date with it. And you're like, I love this show. And then they tweet like, just wait till the angels. If anyone's listening to this, you can text Jay spoilers that don't happen, and it'll be very funny.
Oh, it would be very funny. And I'll tell you what.
Till you get to the gay mermaids, and you're like, what?
I'll tell you what I love the idea of is Jay's muscular stepdad getting a pump on watching these hot boys fight ghosts.
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh, dude, Joe doing drop sets on bench press and then racking them. And he goes, just Joe racking it like this, or he goes, hey, that guy say those werewolves in the back forest? Like, you know.
Oh, dude.
Joe's putting up 350.
Joe in front of the TV, Jay, to your mom, he goes, it's a poltergeist step. I love poltergeist steps.
He goes, I love two things: getting a good pump and watching him take down a sea monster.
I love when they can wrap this whole thing up with some Bible verse.
Yeah, he goes. They actually quoted Job in the last one. You think they're doing it? He goes. You think they're doing King Solomon?
You know, I keep hearing about it, and I'm looking forward to eventually seeing it. But Christine, I don't mind the spoiler level of it. Someone goes, wait till you get to, and this is the quote, I don't even know what it means. have you got? He goes, wait till you get to the crossover Scooby-Doo episode.
What?
And I go, you mean Scooby-Doo like? And they go, no. They cross over with the characters of Scooby-Doo, apparently.
Gee, Scoob, all the girls disappeared to go have sex with those ghost hunters.
My stepfather goes, yeah, that does come up. He goes, but it's, it's not what you think. He goes, they go to Scooby-Doo's universe. Like their dimension. I go,
I can tell you what it is. I can tell you what it is because I've read about it in an article called 10 Craziest TV Crossovers. That's what it was called. I think you want to know?
No, I mean I want to know.
No,
mute it. I want to know.
I think they do a straight up animated Scooby-Doo episode that these characters are in, and I'm sure the framework of that episode is that one of them falls asleep in front of Scooby-Doo or some shit,
Joe DeRosa, Dan Soder, friend. Oh, I was just going to ask a question. Do they make him hunky in the Scooby-Doo universe?
Not hunky
Does
enough.
that answer your question right there?
Goddamn right it does.
Not hunky enough.
By the way, Joe, I don't know if you know, but that's going to be my post-quarantine new look: is fitted shirts with nice jackets on.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Yeah, it's true. If you like a show and you look forward to it every week. Something like if you're watching it like weekly episodics, and this was the episode, you get. This is how I feel anymore when the cartoons, like when they do a Brian Stewie episode on Family Guy, you're like, come on, man! Like, can we just have a regular fucking episode that's funny?
But sometimes those episodes are good because if they're done well, then when you come back to the show, there's you can enjoy the weird episode, and then you're back, and you're like, all right, we're back to normal.
When I'm waiting for new episodes of something and they have like a high concept episode, I'm usually like, fuck this. I just want to see the show.
I agree with Jay. I just went through the whole latest season of It's Always Sunny, which is a great season, very funny. But man, they do that whole film noir episode. And I'm like, guys, you just wasted 22 minutes that could have been Dennis being a creep. It never gets old. I will never get tired of Dennis being a creep.
Has there ever been a fun concept episode of anything where you're like, man, what a fucking home run?
Like high concept where it's like far-fetched?
Black Lou knows one. Which show were you saying has a concept episode?
I'm going to look it up right now.
Yeah, I'm sure there's been a couple. There's no, that doesn't count. See, it's even hard to even define what a concept episode is. I used to love The Perfect Strangers where it turned into The Honeymooners halfway through. I like that episode.
All right, that's a strange concept.
I'll tell you
episode.
what, in my never...
Crossovers. Sorry, Jay. What were you saying?
Finish what you're saying, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I love crossover episodes. To me, always make me pop. If someone from another show's on a show and I'm like, that's the same universe? That's the same universe? That's great.
Yeah.
But concept episodes, I'm like, yeah.
Well, even pretty young, and they weren't concept episodes. I used to get furious as a kid when I was watching like Family Matters, and it was like Urkel's going into the Urkel-o-matic that's going to turn him into a different Urkel, and I'm like, go fuck yourself. I'm like,
You didn't like Stefan?
Did not. I liked
Stefan.
I liked one episode of Stefan.
I didn't like the Bruce Lee Urkel. I hated it actually. It used to make me angry.
Stefan, the one episode was good because it was like hey, Urkel's so smart he made himself cool, and then he realizes he's better as Urkel, and then you're like, well, never do that again, and then they kept doing it a lot.
And then also any episode of a show that makes it a musical, I always just assume is the way of finding out the show's creator is gay. That's his way of telling you. That's his way of telling you that he's like, oh, by the way, I'm gay.
Yeah. Black Lou, what were you going to say?
It's the Teddy Perkins episode of the series Atlanta.
Okay.
Where the main
where he
character
plays
whiteface. It's crazy good, though.
It's really good. I've heard. I only watched the first 4 episodes of Atlanta, and I really liked it. It was on an app, so I couldn't finish it. But I heard the Teddy Perkins. That's season 2, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I heard that he goes in whiteface as a white character, and it's great.
Fucking hilarious.
What else has been like that before? Where I've seen when they have shows where you're like, just make 2 less episodes. You don't have to do 12 episodes. What was it? Was
Sometimes
that
they do a concept episode that's funny, where it's like the Wade Boggs episode of Always Sunny. To bring it back to Always Sunny, the Wade Boggs episode was funny, and then when they did the female reboot of the Wade Boggs episode, that was one of my favorite episodes, and that's a concept.
Because it was still, but it was a concept. That's in the vein of the show. I'm talking more like outside.
Yeah.
Here's like what I hated. I just remember what the show was now. I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. Wasn't it like when they were just stretching out Sopranos by the end? Wasn't like the second to last episode like his like he was dying and his dream? It was like all his like dream he was in or something.
There's an episode where he imagines a woman. She's not there.
He like jumps all over the place, right? He's like in the car with her, and then everything. Then he's be outside. It's like a a Christmas Carol type thing, and it's like, come on, man, just like.
Yeah, sometimes when they do that, you're like, oh man, like the end of Roseanne, the original Roseanne, where she was like,
oh, Dan had a heart attack, and this whole thing's been me writing it.
And you're like, fuck all of you guys. Fuck all of you, because if you would have just said it was a normal thing, I would have gone with it. I would have stayed with you.
I was so happy when they retconned that in the new show, and then Roseanne got fired, and now I'm waiting for them to retcon that and just bring her back and be like,
yeah, dude, bring Roseanne.
Book where you said a thing and got fired.
He goes,
remember when they lied about my opiate addiction? I wasn't addicted. I was out making money. I was out hunting ghosts with these two hot boys.
She's just been with Supernatural the whole time.
Oh,
we don't know that they wrote Roseanne Barr into the Supernatural universe later in the later season.
Did you guys bring your salt pellets? Yeah, well, this goes, how about a woman with an opinion? That'll scare it.
Roseanne, two things about Roseanne. Number one, Roseanne dying of the opioid addict, whatever the fuck it's called.
Roseanne going out like a G and not getting Narcan back.
That was the most disappointing ending to a character ever for me on a sitcom. I was like, don't make it end like this. Don't do this to the character. And then the second thing is, I thought Big Bang Theory should have ended with fucking Roseanne showing up in the final episode, and it turns out that Johnny's been secretly living this life as this nerd. That would have been sideways, dude.
Fucking so sideways. I love the idea of that. Jay, Ari, and I started a podcast called Sixth and Jump, which will be out soon, about 21 Jump Street, and we're rewatching it. And Jay did research and found out that the town in Jump Street that this whole story is based is called Metropolis. And I was like, dude, how cool would it be if this was in the DC universe? Like, you just didn't know.
Well, is it a Warner Brothers show? Is there a chance it is?
No. 21 Jump Street does not take place in the DC universe.
It would be cool as fuck if it did. Dude, it'd be so cool if it did.
I got Johnny Depp's going to be like, hey, because I think somebody said they've been robbing stores, but nobody can see the person because they're moving too fast.
He goes,
another guy, they just found this kid at a school has a ring that can make anything if he just thinks it.
Oh man, hey, listen, Captain Gordon, just get off my back, all right? You're never going to be commissioner. Not in Metropolis. Maybe if you move to that shithole Gotham. Yeah. But I don't think you're a good cop.
You're a good cop, but you don't have enough gadgets.
Hey, Lex Luthor, you're a pretty cool kid at this school. What's going on with it?
It can't be. How can it be called Metropolis? That's insane.
It's called Metropolis. And by the way, what's the state you're wondering? It's called Evergreen State. I'm going to double check that right now. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure someone made that up within 15 minutes on the phone. They go, "Hey guys, we need a name for the town, just like for clearance." And they're like, Metropolis, Evergreen State in the United States. But it's filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, which you can tell very easily.
I don't know. I mean, I get the idea of like this could be anywhere. Children aren't safe no matter where they go to school. I get that whole thing, but to call it Metropolis is crazy as calling it Gotham City. That's fun.
It would have been ballsier if they called it Gotham.
He goes, guys, are there any high schools that need crime solved? Let me check the Daily Planet.
Yeah, he goes, oh look, Jimmy Olsen took a big cool picture of the new library being built.
Lois Lane's my favorite reporter. She really gets in there with the good stuff.
Clark Kent's a real dildo. Too bad he doesn't have any secret talents. Anyways, I'm going to go undercover. Should I wear glasses? No one would know I'm undercover if I just wore glasses.
Christopher Reeve was fucked over in life well before that horse took his ass out.
Before it bounced him, before that he bounced him off walking.
You give him 4 movies where fucking at her best a fucking 5 Margot Kidder.
Dude,
anybody in the world when you see him crying, holding her dead body, and he has to turn the world back, goes, "You're going to turn the world backwards for this fucking average chick?
You're going to turn this back for this wet sock?" He's like, you could have had
Superman, dude.
Dude, you're Superman, which means you definitely have a super dick. But that's how you like. You know,
he turned into such a pussy in the second movie. He gave up his powers for her.
Yeah, you know how
he got the shit beat out of him in a diner because he had no powers. He just was a total pussy.
Yeah. By the way, turn the world back before he even tapped it once. Hadn't even tapped it yet.
That goes to Jay's full ball theory. I think if Lois would have let him get a nut, Superman doesn't turn the world back. Superman goes.
He's in the Justice League.
The second movie, and then gives her his powers up. He loses his fucking mind even more after he bangs her.
Yeah,
dude. What about Superman just goes into space and jerks off, and they're like, "Superman, what are you doing?" He's like, "Shut up, leave me alone." Over his shoulder, just in space.
He jerks off.
If you never saw Superman and someone just goes like, "I got invited to this party," he goes, "Do you want to see Superman and his girlfriend, dude?" And that's what walks. Christopher Reeve and Margot Kidder walk in the room. You're like, I don't know why I was picturing a much hotter couple. Hey, I don't want to be a dick. Am I being the only dick here? But they look like two boring parents.
Because you got to hear them together. They are so fun together. They have a lot of fun together.
They host the best game nights. All right, Christine's giving us nutty break signals because she won't just fucking say. You could say it, Christine. We're all quarantined. It's okay. We'll take our first break, but let's come right back. What do you say? Unless everybody's got to go do something.
Yeah, Joe DeRosa hanging out. We're on the quarantine tapes on the Bonfire. We'll be right back. Sirius XM 95.
And now, back to the Bonfire with Big J. Oakerson and Dan Soder.
It's the Bonfire Quarantine Tapes, Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95. With the bad boys, it's Dan Soder. I'm Big J. Oakerson. We have Joe DeRosa hanging out with us. Also, jumping into the group. Got his internet straightened out, I guess. Is DJ Lou.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. Is that a guitar back there?
I got 2. Do you guys have shred competitions? Do you and Will fucking have where you're like, now for my solo?
Do you play guitar, Lou?
I know 3 chords. I could play Every Rose Has Its Thorn, and that's about it.
These, right now. You can't say something like that and then say over there there's a guitar right there. Please, we made Jacob play drums.
It's out of tune. It would sound horrible.
So what?
I have to get the electric tuner out, and I'd have to tune it, which would take forever.
Both lie silently still in the dead of the night.
How about this?
Play it out of tune. It'd be funny to hear it out of tune, I feel like. No?
Yeah. You go, I don't know, maybe just play it if it sucks. And he goes, yeah, you really got me there. He's like, I don't even think he made a point.
I'm so impressed with musical talent. I remember me and Joe were hanging out with 2 girls one time, years ago, and they had a guitar, and he was like, oh, let me see. And he's like, yeah, I wrote this song. And then Joe played an original tune he wrote, and I was like, I was like, shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. I was so overly impressed.
Joe, do you remember the song?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't like that you looked out the way you looked into the light like that, and you went,
oh, wait, I stand by still. Good tune.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad song. But yeah,
DeRosa's got underappreciated musical chops that people don't realize.
Well, thank you guys. I just wrote music for me and Corinne's podcast. I just wrote the new music for it, and it came out pretty well. I think I'm excited about it. Yeah.
Here we go. DJ Lou set up. Turn that camera down so we can see your strums, bro.
Don't you dare tune it.
I've always wanted to hear Flogging Molly unplugged. That hat.
All right, I get the girlfriend holding the microphone, so.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Witzke.
Hold it closer. I have no pick.
The bad internet is not doing you any favors.
I can't tell what's going on.
How's that sound? Good?
That's attitude, or if you strum the thing more than 2 times.
Is that every rose?
Yeah. Thanks, Lou.
Baby.
Oh my God.
Black Lou, do you want to be Paula or Randy Jackson? Because I feel like Jay's going to be Simon here, so I'll just be Randy Jackson and say that's a no for me, dog. I appreciate what you're going through. I like what you did.
Well, you said you could play 3 chords, but it was pure rubbish.
Sounded like when you just drop an acoustic guitar and it goes. Oh.
if you put it sounded like if you put an acoustic guitar down a laundry chute, like pong pong pong.
It sounds like you got angry. It sounds like you got angry at a guitar and just rolled it down apartment building stairs.
Pong pong pong. And then if you're in your apartment and you go, was that every rose? Every rose.
Dust now because that thing's never been dusted.
Black Lou, why don't you go get your bass, dude?
I can do as much on the piano as he can do on the guitar. I just don't have one.
That was honestly one of my favorite South Park moments. Top 5 South Park moments ever is when Cartman told Token to go get his bass, and he goes, "I don't have a bass," and he goes, "Token, you're black. You totally have a bass." And then he goes, "I went in the basement." And he goes, "We did have a bass." And he goes, "All right, now play it." He's like, "I don't know how to play the bass." Like, "Token, you're black. You totally know how to play the bass." And he just starts playing, and he goes, "God damn it!" Like he gets angry, and he knows. You're black. You know how to play the bass.
Say my favorite musical memory from South Park is when they do the Guitar Hero episode and Randy busts out the guitar to play Wayward Son on my play Kansas.
Yeah, Carry On Wayward Son. When he brings the arm around, he's like,
"I was feeling ever higher."
Oh, when he played the actual guitar, he goes, "I was soaring ever higher."
Then I soared too high.
Man, Kansas. I couldn't tell you if every guy in Kansas is dead or alive.
Me neither, but fuck, that song is just great, ain't
You
it?
could probably see him playing now. They probably play on your block somewhere.
Are you kidding me? I think they're still touring through the quarantine.
I'll tell you what, though.
Sorry, I'm getting guilt texts from a friend of ours. No. Another friend of ours who didn't answer his phone at all last week.
Last week.
Twice. Called me twice now that I'm not feeling great. He just texted, "I've called you 100 times this week. How busy could you possibly be?"
Oh,
Son
man,
of a
your
bitch.
guys' makeup sex is going to be hot.
What a bitch.
When you guys are finally face to face and you go, "I called you," and he goes, "I called you," and you go, "I called you."
What do you got going so big? What do you got? You got?
I don't know. Why don't you tears the V-neck? What about that?
Joe. I want to do nothing more than a parody of Justin and Joe solving paranormal crimes.
Like paranoia, a permanent paranormal, supernatural. Yeah.
That'd be funny, man. That'd be funny. Hey, Joe, there's a merman over here.
I talked to this bird, and it says that there's a ghost in this
By the
house.
way, Justin is a guy. When you go, "Justin, go ahead, dude. We have time before we have to go hunt the next ghost. Like, go fuck that chick." He's like, "No, I don't want to make you wait or anything like that." Justin is totally fine. We got nowhere to go, dude. I'm actually tired. I'm gonna go take a nap for a couple hours. Go fuck that chick. It's like then I gotta afterwards. There's gonna be I'll go take a nap with you instead. Want me to go nap with you?
Justin, us defeating this ghost and saving this family relies on you having sex with that woman. You can't solve them all, man.
Can't be everywhere all the time. You know what I mean?
Also, pretty cool that the ghost of the grandpa hangs out in the house. I wish I had that. Let's get out of here.
I'm hungry anyway. I'm hungry.
DeRosa, whenever he gets a woman, he just comes back and he goes, "I went too hard. She got mad at me." They're just in the car. Joe just blows all the pussy. He just goes,
I came on strong, I guess. I made a joke.
I texted her a bunch. I asked her if she liked Zappa. She got mad at me for some reason.
Yeah, I kept saying this place is cool, but should we just go back to my house?
Yeah. He offered me multiple Uber. I don't know. I offered her an Uber. She didn't pick it up.
Carla had Isabella when we were so young, and when Joey first lived with us, Isabella was still like a baby and everything at the time. So the end of the night, I was so envious of Joe because Joe really got to have like that 20s. Like Joe had every week he had a storybook like thing that would just seem so fun. I mean, we'd laugh at it because it's like funny also, but like you'd have just that feeling I didn't have a lot of in my life, like in my growing up and stuff. Much was just like. You come back like 5 a.m. It's like like hugging himself and spinning around the room. He's like, oh, what a night. The prettiest girl, and she liked all the things I like.
Oh, dude. Yeah, like you're just going to get the baby. You're getting the baby formula, and Joe goes, Jay, the moon smiled at me this evening. I met one of the nicest, most beautiful, kindest women I've ever met. Damn it, I'm doing it, Christine.
Joe, I'm sorry. I'm over here trying to live 3 separate full lives.
All of your starry-eyed moments had guilt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I would walk in and Jed'd be like, "Well, how was your night, Mister?" And I would back up against the wall and then slide down it slowly, smiling.
Angels are real. I met one.
You go, well, I don't know. This is the first time I've touched the ground all evening. Probably pretty good.
He goes, how'd you get home, Joe? He's like, I would say I floated.
Yeah. How was your night with, what's her name? Mrs. DeRosa is her name.
Oh, dude, it was so fun.
Jay saw me get douched a few times. Remember the time we were in the car?
One of my favorite stories of all time.
That girl
Please tell us.
Dude, the timing of it was so great. So can I do the setup?
Yeah, please. You can tell the whole story, actually. It's funny when you tell it.
I remember this so vividly. So that's, I think on this show, I think on Bonfire, I said, as an example, I used this, I think, of Joe came home one night. I remember I waited for him. We went home together that night, but like, we hung up pretty late, and Joe was bagging in with this girl for a while, talking, having a great time. In fact, what it was, I think I went to the cellar, and then I was going to go home, and Joe was like, it was late, and Joe was like, no, I'm still with that girl, but she's leaving. Let me go walk her to a cab, and whatever. And I see her walk her to the cab, and he even does like she's sitting in the cab, and he's like between the door and the seats.
The soft shut of the door, where after you shut it, you put your hand over the seal.
It's beautiful. I'm not even making fun of that. I love that.
No, and I walked up to the cabbie and I handed him $20 and I said, "Now, Stella, this is a very special lady you have in your back seat."
You go, now, sir, you have precious cargo. I was going to say that. Yeah. Sir, you got very precious cargo. I'm going to need you to get this home. I need you to act like you're driving the Hope Diamond home. Is to me the Hope Diamond.
And then the car ride home, he was doing the thing. It was like the glorious thing. He goes, dude, she likes Zappa. She is into this. We're in all this. She plays drums also. Like she was great. She was everything, and she was really cute. And then whatever. So skip ahead. That wasn't like super uncommon that Joe had, but they didn't fuck or anything. He went home with me, and then so skip ahead like maybe like weeks. I did my first and only. Yeah, I did my first and only Tough Crowd.
Yeah.
Appearance, and Joe and Travis Poston, our friend Travis Poston, came with me to Tough Crowd. So that's one of the funniest things I've ever said. Talk about killing my confidence before I started a show. That was when I had my shirt on, and Patrice asked me if I brought that shirt over inside my pocket because it was so wrinkled, and I was like, "I'm getting ready to go on air." Like, man, you bring that? He goes, where'd you bring that shirt here in your pocket? It was so. The show was over, whatever, when we left. There's a zillion stories of that, too. I remember when the Steinbergs used to go to Tough Crowd every day and just sit at the craft services table and just eat stuff. Yeah. Stuff like they worked there. But anyway, we were driving back, and I remember we were downtown. It was later that night. We probably went to the cell or whatever, but me, Travis, and Joe still, and we were driving on Delancey going towards the Williamsburg Bridge. I don't know why I'm being so specific. It's just how much I remember this. And earlier that evening, we had asked Joe, I go, Judah, what happened with that girl? Like, you were so, like, high on that chick. And it seemed like you were so excited about it. What happened with it? He's like, you know, it's like I called her like a couple of times, and like she hasn't gotten back, but it's, you know, it hasn't been that long, but you know, we'll see. And then as we're driving back, Joe's phone rings. He's in the front seat. Travis is in the back. I'm driving. Yeah. And Joe holds up the phone to us, like
yeah, like look what I got coming.
It's so great, dude. We all have these moments. He goes, check it out. It's like she's calling right here, and he flips open the phone, and this is what made it the best. His first words were something of that was like their inside thing from that night.
Oh, that's so great.
I'm making this up completely, but it's like,
oh yeah, no, but I know what you're talking about. Where he's like,
yeah, hey, honeysuckle rose, you know, from
ooh, he goes, I'm your Huckleberry. What's going on, sweet thing?
Exactly, yeah. And he goes like, he's like, hey, honeysuckle rose, and then he's like, okay, all right. I mean, well, suit yourself, but in a few years, you're going to be sitting with some furniture salesman in which is, by the way, hilarious. I think he used that example. I always remembered that because my ex-girlfriend, Cheryl, who I was with for years, dumped me for a guy who was a furniture salesman. I think she married a furniture salesman. Yeah. And Joe goes, well, you're going to be sitting watching TV with your furniture salesman loser husband, and you're going to look on the TV, and you're going to be like, you're going to look on the TV and be like, oh, boy, I really fucked up, huh? And then he clapped the phone shut because it was flip phone days. He clapped and he looked back at me and Travis like, there's how you tell a bitch, right? And we were like, oh, man, that was uncomfortable for everybody involved.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I go, you're tired of getting, I'm tired of getting sand kicked in my face.
So she called you just to tell you she didn't want to hang out with you?
That part, because it's so cunty. This chick sucked dick.
I actually don't really. Here's what I do remember about it.
Oh, I remember.
I forgot all that shit. But the reason I remember she called me was because my MO back then wasn't even an MO. I had no game. Like every girl I met, I fell in love with. So then, like, I'd call a girl like 3 times over the course of a week or two, and they wouldn't get back to me, and it wouldn't register in my head like, dude, you're being needy. Like, she doesn't want to talk to you. And then sometimes a girl like this would call me to be like, hey, dude, like, I just want to say,
no, I remember
see you ever again.
I remember exactly what she said, and it's why I think it was pretty cunty the way she said it, because you said she was very, very cold the way she did it. She goes, hey, especially when you go, hey, honeysuckle rose, her words were, she goes, hey, look, I wasn't going to call you at all, but my friend or my roommate, whatever, told me that's shitty to do, that I should call you and let you know, like, I'm just not really interested in seeing you again. And it was like, and it was so shitty. That's why Joe kind of came back with like all right, bitch, well then you'll see in a few years drinking milk.
Yeah. I would like to think normally I wouldn't have made the speech about.
No. She was cunty. When you told us that, I was like, what a bitch.
Oh, dude, when you get put down like that, I've gotten that call where they're just like, hey, I don't think there's anything here. And you're like, I was just going to say that. So it's crazy you said that. Fuck. Oh, man, it's crazy that it feels like I'm in cold water right now.
I knew there wasn't anything there before.
Yeah, spark, more like dust. Whatever, you old bitch.
I just don't feel any magic. You're stupid. What?
Yeah. Well, you smell,
dummy.
Yeah, you smell like burnt broccoli. What? Nothing.
You smell like shit when I saw you last time.
You sweat like meats. What?
I was only hanging out with you just because I was blown away that pigs could talk. I didn't even know.
Oh, dude, I've told you guys that story multiple times about the girl that just sunned me from when I was 16 to 21. She'd be like, come here, get the fuck out of my face. And I'm like, and just keep coming back. But when I moved my favorite is when I moved to Alaska, but when I came back from college, she just graduated high school and I was in between my freshman and sophomore year of college. So I came back and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm headed up to work in the dangerous frontier of Alaska. And she'd be like, cool, you want to buy me Dairy Queen? And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I guess this is moving pretty good. And then I'm sorry. Oh, I was going to say, then I called her from my phone in Alaska, which was roaming in 2002. That was like $90 a minute.
$30 a minute.
Dude, it was crazy. And then I come home and I'm like, hey, you want to hang out? And she's like, yeah. And I hang out. And she's like, not really into it. And then I go hang out with a friend, and he's like, hey, you know, Joey was hooking up with her when you were in Alaska. And I was like, yes. She's a stupid bitch anyways. Whatever. It hurts on such a deep level.
Her.
Oh, like her. It immediately turn to that just to save your pride. You're like, I was into her.
I feel like I have one of the worst in the sense of like my high school thing was that just like it's pretty bad to have the widely publicized, even if it's just amongst like the people who were like my friends, the widely publicized crush on someone who never thought twice about you, and also
Samantha Otvani.
No, it's Janessa, and then would go through would go through a couple of your friends also in the process. That's the worst. The publicized one, like when everyone around, including that girl and probably most of her friends, know that's like my friend Jamie from high school was one of the people I'm like closest with from high school still. My friend Jamie, who's a girl, obviously would tell you that like it's like, oh yeah. Like, I mean, like all the girls knew that you liked, that was like the thing. It's pretty funny, but that's the worst feelings. Then you feel like a real schmo because you never even, it's like you had the shot and it blew it, or you guys would be on again, off again. It was just, you like this girl just lives her life around you. And you're like, what's she doing now? I like the way she walks to that class.
Crazy. It's just funny to have the crush, and the girl's like, yeah, no, I have zero interest, and you're like,
but not even that. You can call. I can call her. I had many phone conversations with her where it's like I'd be like the sounding board for her girl problems, and I'd be like, And I tell you what, she was bummed about something on Valentine's. Like some guy wasn't talking to her anymore on Valentine's Day, and I asked my grandmother if I could use her credit card to send her flowers, and I sent her flowers. And then I had to, a week later, I finally had to acknowledge that I was like, hey, those flowers ever show? Oh, yeah, thank you.
That's so weird. Like, you get just the way the focus on that sort of thing, or the value of that sort of, it like shifts so much when you get older. It's like, I appreciate people. And, when I date, I approach a woman that I'm interested in, and you want the person to like you back when you ask them out or whatever. But I mean, I'm at a point, I could approach an 11 who's like a fucking Rhodes Scholar, and I could be like, I think that's the one for me, and then be like, you want to go out sometime? She's like, nah, I'm not into it. And I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. It probably wasn't going to work out anyway. And just be like, all right, I'll see somebody next week. Or whatever. Like, it's like, it doesn't hurt the way it did.
I was never single enough to get that thing. You know what I mean? Like, whenever I was never single enough to understand, I would see a girl who's an 11 Rhodes Scholar and be like, oh, why would she? Like, I would even take a shot. If I did take a shot and she was like, I'm not interested, I'd go, oh, fucking such a goddamn moron for even trying. I'm a fat animal idiot.
Jay, whenever I tell people that they're like, I went to the University of Arizona, they're like, oh man, you must have just had so many fucking hot chicks partying. You're like, no, you know who I was? It's like telling someone like, yeah, I played in the NBA. And they're like, oh my God, what'd you do in the NBA? You're like, I'm the guy that got dunked on by everybody. Every picture of Vince Carter dunking, there's me standing in the lane looking up. Because every girl I liked that was like from San Diego, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go get a drink or something? She'd be like, go away. One girl... Right. I took one of the hottest girls when I was like, I think a sophomore. I asked her out on a date and she brought a friend. I was like, hey, do you want to go out? And she was like, yeah, I'm going to bring a friend. And I was like, oh, okay. That kind of stings. Ouch. Yeah. And then we went on a date. Really, I could tell she wasn't interested. And then she ended up marrying a guy I played Little League football with that also went to college. And like, he was always the hot, popular guy. And she was like, yeah, no to you. Marrying him, I was like, son of a bitch.
I think I told you before too, and I brought all like the group of the quote unquote hot chicks out to Alpha's Pizza House, which I still wish existed. Best cheesesteak stromboli of my life. Alpha's Pizza House after school, because it was right by school. And went there, and everybody ordered food, and I can't even blame them for doing. I blame them as an adult now for fucking accepting this. But at the time, when that the check came, and it was one of those like, I was like, ladies, no, please. I don't know why I thought all these things would make them go like, maybe I love this guy. And there's not at all. They'd go, really? Thanks. They just left. I remember they left.
I gotta go throw this up in the bathroom so I can go swallow Corey's cum. And you're like, what?
Oh my God! They're like, hey, thanks for the bowlie, coach.
I'm telling you that I remember sitting at that table, at the head of it. The other 4 chairs, like the 2 on each side of the table, were empty and like the dishes all in front of them while I was waiting for them to bring me back my change because the girls all left before I got the change.
Wait, they ate and you paid the check and they said thanks on their way out as you sat there by yourself.
I think the same group of girls I loaded I was like, it was one of those like at my mom's car. I think I was driving back and forth from Jersey at this point. I think I moved to South Jersey, but didn't want to switch schools. So I would drive. So I was a new driver also, very new, like probably just 16 or 17. And my mom had it was like a small Honda Civic or something. And with a real one, like the little, like with the square back.
Oh, trunk. I know exactly what kind of Civic you're talking about. Wide back window, small, low to the ground.
Yes, and I think they had one of those like, hey, can you give us a ride wherever? And I was like, yeah, there's like too many of you though. And they were like, come on, we can make it work. We'll all squeeze in. And they did all squeeze against, like, should have been like, again, this thing today, it doesn't matter how hot the chick is. To me, they're like, we can squeeze 6 people in. And I'd be like, bitch, if you think I'm squeezing people into my car, I'm not getting pulled over for you, you dumb twat. But like at the time, they're like, no, we can squeeze in and people will lay across. Like 2 people laying across, like stuffed. And then the first thing, I remember I came like off of a curb and just bottomed out. Like it ripped like the muffler off or something. Oh. And I got in so much trouble at home. And like the girls were like, oh, I guess we couldn't do it. All right, thanks, bye. You know, you just like told
take bail out.
They're like, yeah, totally.
Later, guy. Bye, guy.
God damn, man.
I bet they called me something fat behind my back always.
Dude, I had
like tons of fun will take us if we ask them.
Dude, I had I bought a fake ID off the internet when I was 16 years old, which like you could buy these things called they were called novelty IDs, but they were fake IDs. So all you'd have to do is send them a passport photo and they would send you back a fake driver's license. So I had a fake ID when I was 16 and I could buy booze, which I just buy booze, which then lead me to, I would go to the liquor store for some of like the cute girls in my high school and I would be a service and I wouldn't get paid. I would just go to the liquor store. I would sometimes they would buy me a pack of cigarettes. And then I would just like, be like, so are we going to hang out? And they're like, all right, bye. We're going to Brian Costello's party. And you just like shut the door and you're like, that empty car ride drive, that's the bummer. When you're just all of a sudden the car was packed with all these girls just squawking, and then it's just you alone, and you're like, well, I got nothing for that, so sweet.
That hurts. That hurts.
I definitely did shitty things as a kid too, but my thing was never like to girls in that way, like shitty stuff, because I just didn't have that wasn't the world I was in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for some reason it keeps making me laugh thinking of DeRosa, that you're in the kitchen testing baby formula on your hand like this. And then DeRosa comes in and shuts the door, then just falls to the ground. Dude, that is, I'm not gonna lie, that is gonna make me laugh. You laugh throughout the day. Oh, Jason.
That's to my bangs. I go.
Yeah.
Lip blow up to my bangs.
Jay hands you a cup of coffee that you have to hold with both hands. You go.
we go sit on the balcony at 2 a.m, and he goes. He blows on it. He goes, you know, Jay, when you know, you just know.
There's something about you sitting cross-legged on the top of the balcony, lighting a cigarette, and you go, I want to hear it all. And he goes,
I'm living vicariously through you. Tell me the whole thing. Do not leave out a word.
She's an army brat, so she's been everywhere.
God damn, dude. Jesus, god damn, man. That's so funny.
One of my favorite phone calls ever was Joe called me one time because he gave me a heads up. He goes, hey, I'm bringing this girl home with me, but Like, don't leave any money out. She seems a little dodgy.
Wait, what?
You brought some chick back to the house to bang one night, and you called for you gave me a heads up because I was like, because one time you brought a chick back.
It's so funny that Joe has to that Joe has to slut proof the house he's staying in, like he's puppy proofing it. He goes, "Hey, hide all the wires and shoes. This girl will bite anything."
Yeah, no, you said don't leave any money or anything out. She might be a little dicey.
I don't remember that, dude.
I mean, I don't know. It was like a one night thing, like some chick you hooked up with. I remember that, and the nipple thing is my favorite.
Jay, I'm on my way home. Quick question: any knives out? No. Great. All right, I'll see you in a few.
He goes, you, the wife of the baby, don't have any firearms laying around the house, do you? This one's a real live wire.
Isabella's room locks from the inside, right? Okay, cool.
Okay,
all right.
Good.
We're good.
No, we'll be fine.
You need key access for that, yeah?
Yeah. hey, people could hear us scream if they were our neighbors, right? All right, I just want to make sure.
The roommate we had after Joe was just that girl, Jem. She was a rockabilly chick who had gastric bypass surgery, but she never...
Oh, this was the flying squirrel girl. I remember your bit about that where you brought it over and you're like, well, we don't eat pussy for Thanksgiving. Was that the same one?
Yeah, exactly. But she was just like... She was a rockabilly chick. She was like super heavy, then lost weight, but still had all like the goofy skin, but just like a super insecure chick who was kind of like hoary. Mm-hmm. And just listening to that girl get plowed in that room was just the most unpleasant thing ever. Usually hearing a chick get fucked is like pretty hot. Hers just sounded like pain. It was like oof.
When I lived in Arizona, and my last apartment before I left, it was a college. It was like me and Fujak and my friend Chad all graduated, but we lived Fartbox and Bray, but we lived in a college apartment complex, and there was a girl that lived above me that I can only say I heard from the moans was a rampant slut, because I never heard her moan. I only heard the different guys she fucked moan. And I knew it was a girl. I knew it was an apartment full of girls because you could hear them out on the balcony sometimes. And then you would just hear, and I was the room below her, and I'd have to get up early to go to Bed Bath & Beyond, and you just hear a guy at like 5 a.m. laying coke pipe where he's just like, and just laying under it, and you're like, oh god damn it. And then a week later it'd be a guy who'd be like just like a different dude noise. You're like, oh fuck, dude. Oh fuck.
That girl Jem, I remember me and Carla were supposed to stay maybe down in Philly one night or whatever it was. Maybe we came home early. There was misunderstanding. Whatever it was, that girl thought we were gone for the night. And, just her room was her stuff. The apartment was furnished with our furniture and everything. And, we knew that she was able to do whatever she wanted to do in her room, obviously. But she started fucking this guy who was a chef. Yeah. Love, because it's like, fat girl syndrome of also like, I have a chef and some dick. And that guy was actually a pretty nice guy and a pretty good cook. But like our introduction to him was coming home one night, and as the keys, I guess, were like going into the doorknob, they heard us go up the stairs. Like you heard like the trampling of two heavy set people like barreling into a room, and then and when we came out there, and just all over the floor. I mean, it was like vibrators, dildos, underwear, and then I swear on the table like punched meatloaf, like weird shitty cook, like put mashed potatoes, like they ate. It was so weird.
That is so
furious, dude. I think I'm telling you, I kicked the guy out. The guy ended up being apologetic, and I'm rational enough. Like later, whatever it was, a couple days later when I saw the guy and he was apologetic, I'm like, the dude came over to get pussy. What does he know? Do you know what I mean? Like he wasn't disrespecting my house, like Jay
Oakerson, Dan Soder. Follow up question: yes. Did you try the meatloaf?
Can I tell you something? Dude? They dated for a couple months, maybe.
Yeah.
And one time he did make meatloaf, dude. Unbelievable. I'm not lying to you, dude. And to this day, every time I think about making meatloaf or have had a meatloaf, I always think this, and I go, "What do you do?" He really minces it all up, so it's like really
Yeah.
It's almost like, a slice of like meat cake almost. It was so good.
Mince's what up? Wait a minute. Mince's what up? What the fuck?
You know how meatloaf, it's usually like burger, sort of. It's essentially like a big loaf of burger.
Yeah.
This wasn't, because he used like probably pork, veal, and beef,
Right.
kind of like meat, but minced it up like so it didn't have like that grainy brain kind of like texture. It was very smooth. It was so good, dude. So good.
Oh, shit.
Do you put ketchup on your meatloaf?
I cook ketchup onto my meatloaf.
Yeah, dude. All right.
No. I don't like it cooked on. I like to take the meatloaf unketchuped, put a pile of ketchup next to it, some mashed potatoes, and some salad with Italian dressing.
Oh,
and I ain't gonna lie, that ketchup ends up getting into everything by the end of that meal.
And you know what? I didn't know Italian and ketchup go well on lettuce, but they do.
God damn, they do real good, dude.
I'll tell you what.
Mashed potatoes with a touch of ketchup. I'm here for it.
It's amazing, dude. All the things that I will mix into ketchup and or mustard. And that's like on my plate with something, with any vegetable for sure. I've definitely had a fork full of corn with mustard and ketchup in my life.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a flying fuck.
I'll tell you what I've done too, guys. If you want to get a little crazy, I've done meatloaf where I've put ketchup and mustard on the fucking plate and went cheeseburger style with it, like just like dumped, and I'll dunk each bite into, like, I'll divide the puddles, and so I get half on each bite. You know what I mean? Man. Each bite is half yellow, half red.
Hey, when this thing is all over, let's go to fucking Ted's Montana in Midtown, right by Sirius, and have a nice meatloaf before a bonfire.
That a thing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ted's Montana is a good meatloaf. I never heard of that. But I'll tell you what. Growing up, again, not a lot of money, especially before my grandfather died. We really didn't have a lot of, like, my grandmother got money after he died at one point, but when he was still alive, a very big packed for school lunch often was a meatloaf sandwich.
Meatloaf sandwiches are good.
Just on white bread and but I'll tell you what, with mustard.
SJ, yes. You're talking the same fucking language right now, dude. I used to love a meatloaf sandwich.
The problem with it is by the time you got to it at lunch, that meatloaf has really wet the bread up pretty good. So.
Yeah, you're getting a soggy sand.
So it's all sort of like the same. Yeah, it's a very odd texture of bread.
No, it's like a meatloaf Pop-Tart by the time you get to fucking lunch, dude. It's all mushy and shit. It's fucking delicious.
Yeah, it looks like the bread has it's fused with the meatloaf.
Yeah. like one of those 600-pound people in a couch. You're like, I fucking took it.
It makes Brundle loaf. You go in there, and the meatloaf goes in there.
Hey, did you fish this out of the garbage disposal? And you go, I did, but it's fucking delicious.
You want to talk about a smell? You pull out a meatloaf sandwich around lunchtime at school, everyone knows you're eating a meatloaf sandwich, dude.
Hey, I'll see your meatloaf sandwich, and I'll one-up you a tuna fish sandwich on white that Trish used to send me to school with. That's a good let me sit alone at a lunch table kind of sandwich.
Tuna fish.
Mayonnaise, and then put it on white bread with mayo.
No salt, pepper, relish.
No, salt and pepper. Yeah, you should season it. Salt and pepper. Sometimes would dice up pickles and put it in.
Ooh, you know what I'm thinking? We just got some tuna fish, I think. I'm ready to throw down a little tuna fish.
Yeah.
I like a tuna on a white, dude. I like tuna on white. Sometimes I'll get fancy with a tuna, and I'll switch it over to rye or pumpernickel with provolone cheese, a slice of tomato, a slice of onion, and it's
tuna
no
fish
fucking
on
joke.
Tuna fish on rye is a what's up.
Yeah. But then you got to go solid white albacore. You can't have the mushy shit. The white bread, you can go with the cheaper stuff.
I'll tell you what. My favorite tasting tuna is when it's terrible for you, I'm sure. The chunk, like the darker tuna, in oil.
Ooh.
Bring the oil, and you put that with the mayo. It's like, I understand it's like the least healthy of all the possibilities, but it does make for a delicious tuna fish.
Can I tell you a good tuna recipe? Very simple.
Please. Let it go.
I I dice up celery, I dice up yellow onion, and I dice up Vlasic dill pickles, and I mix it all in with the tuna. Some mayo, salt, and pepper, dude. It's no joke. And sometimes I'll get a little crazy. If I can find hot cherry pepper rings, I'll dice them up too and throw those in.
You fucking sassy bitch.
I'll save you a little bit of time there, Joe. I'll save you a little bit of time there, Joe. You don't have to go with the pick. Relish, dude. Relish right into a tuna's the best. I won't have tuna without relish.
Yes.
I'm not saying no to the relish. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that's why I'm specifying the pickle brand. You got which one's the refrigerated ones? Clausen or Vlasic? The ones that are white and not green in the middle. Clausen. Whatever the more expensive cold ones are, those, because they have such a specific flavor, it almost adds brine to the fucking tuna fish. It almost adds like brininess to it.
Dude, this one I like once a week, dropping some fucking real good sandwich recipes. This is some good quarantine content.
Guys,
this week
can I pitch you something right on the air? Can I pitch you something right on the air? I have a I'm not even joking. This is my dream one day to open a sandwich shop called Hard 8 because there's only 8 sandwiches. But I have a document of sandwich recipes. Can I come on Bonfire once a week during quarantine and give my recipe of the week for my sandwich?
No, I don't mean to speak for Jay, but please.
You really want to give that inside info up?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me get back to these people.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and take this thing home, and you could tickle our tits with a little.
Bust out one of the Hard 8 sandwiches. We want to see this. Now, honestly, can I make a stab in the salad recipe? I'd like to hear that first, because that's the.
Ooh. I'll listen to an egg salad recipe all day.
No, I don't, to be honest with you. I don't do a lot of egg salad.
Look, it looks like my store, Soft 9, will be opening behind Jones.
We'll be right back. We're hanging out with Joe DeRosa. The gang's all here. It's the Bonfire Quarantine Tapes.
And now, back to the Bonfire with Big J. Oakerson and Dan Soder.
Hey, it's the Bonfire, Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95. It's the Quarantine Tapes. I'm Dan Soder. That's Big J. Oakerson. Joining us for the show, Joe DeRosa. And, of course, Joe, joined by the crew of Black Lou, White Lou, Jacob, and Christine. It's a whole family affair.
It's a family affair.
WrestleMania was this weekend. We watched the first night via text thread together. And
I did not watch the second night.
Jay, I think you would have loved the Bray Wyatt, John Cena Funhouse, because Victor, my buddy Vic, who you know, texted me halfway through the match. He's like, "Hey, who did this? David Lynch?" It was like a weird.
Yeah, the production things are so bizarre.
Well, the produced one on Bray Wyatt's Funhouse match with John Cena was actually, by the end of it, I was like, this is fucking cool, because they did him in the mind of John Cena having to like go through all of his different eras of the characters he was, and how he faced Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 5 years ago. It was fucking cool, man. You should watch it. I think you would. I think you would like it.
I'm a fan of the Wyatt.
Well, he's doing this whole new thing now where he's the Fiend, and he has this, like, when he's Bray Wyatt, he does this Firefly Funhouse, which is like a kid show, like Pee Wee Herman, and then it's like an evil kid show where then he turns into the Fiend, who's like he wears a mask and he's crazy looking, got contact eyes. It's fucking nuts. But they did John Cena versus the Fiend, and I was like, oh, this is going to suck. And it might be my favorite part of WrestleMania.
Well, because, I mean, the no audience, man, I feel terrible for them. I really do. I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. Like, more than I'm going, like, this sucks. I'm just like, they're really trying to do, like, an entertaining thing for the fans. I think they had such good intentions, and now it's like, was it even worth the risk they put themselves through? I mean, was it? I mean, it was, financially, probably.
I feel the worst for Drew McIntyre, who is now the WWE champion, beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But the thing is like Drew McIntyre was a guy that was brought into the company, I want to say 10 years ago, and touted as like the next guy.
It's funny, I watched the story randomly. Was it on like right after the first night of WrestleMania? They played the whole Drew McIntyre story.
Yeah, the Drew McIntyre story where he got back into the NXT. He like got fired from the WWE or he got let go, and then he came back, did awesome in NXT, injured himself, and then came back and got a push. and finally got a main event at WrestleMania for the title.
He won the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he won the Royal Rumble back in January.
And then, but it shows when it's so funny too, for something that's rehearsed and they know the outcome before it happens. It is funny that afterwards they show him backstage after the Royal Rumble talking to Vince McMahon, like thanking him. He's like, "Thank you, man. Thank you so much for what you've done for my family and the opportunity." He keeps saying like opportunity is like, it's not an opportunity. I mean, it is an opportunity, but it's like, it's just a script. It's a scripted thing.
Yeah, but what's weird, man, it's like in comedy, if someone controlled who was like at the very top in a way that we were like, oh, okay, now it's this guy's turn because this guy got on fire and he's going to win because you headline a WrestleMania, money-wise, that's got to be fucking massive for your career.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it actually is an opportunity, but it's like, because it's like sports entertainment, it feels like they're thanking you for the opportunity to like show how good I am. And it's really just going like, hey man, thanks for making my character do this right now. That's pretty great.
That's exactly what it is, and that's exactly what it. And the honestly, the real tinge of like of bad that I felt for Drew McIntyre hit at the very end. He beats Brock Lesnar, hooks the leg, gets the 3 count, and then he's doing the emotional like they hand the belt over to him. And then he's just in that empty room on the belt, on the ropes, like holding up the belt. And you're like, man, that should be in a fucking football stadium with 100,000 people going ape shit. Just so because he's never going to have that moment back. He's never going to have the moment where he won the title for the first time at WrestleMania. It's a main event. He takes on a legend, Brock Lesnar, and he wins and then like holds the belt up. And you're like, man, that was...
The flip of it is that he's also part of like, this is the only time in history that'll probably happen. You know what I mean? Like, my next WrestleMania, let's hope this is sorted out. My next WrestleMania.
Well, that's kind of what got me through watching this WrestleMania. I was like, man, this is a one-time thing. It's very odd.
Back, like, what about this? What about remember that fucking time?
Well, they'd be like, dude, WrestleMania 36 when there was no audience.
Did you ever see the movie?
How did they do the clearance for it? Like, what? How did did they test every?
Yeah, everyone got tested. I'm sure that's what it was.
Certain people dropped out of it. The Miz, he dropped out of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns, because he just battled leukemia, he dropped out. He's like, I can't risk it.
With him. Yeah. I'll tell you what's funny. Khabib, like some people are giving him shit about not fighting, and it's like
it's not his fault. Russia won't let him out.
No, they said he can get out. He can get out. He can get out on a private plane. They said there's no business bans from going back and forth. From at least what I read, it seems like he can get out because he then released a statement. And when I read his statement, I'm like, yeah, sure, dude, I'm not mad at you. He's like, all these people have to stay home. Like, why? So I'm an asshole for not wanting to like stay home during this fucking crazy quarantine. Like, I don't want to risk my life for this fight. Like, I'm sorry. I could wait. And it's like, I think Dana White's like, we're going to move forward without him. But it all seems very, like, angry. And it's like, dude, I mean, fuck you, dude. Like, come on, man. Don't make someone feel bad about that. I do want to say this, though. I don't want to jump too far off of WrestleMania. Did you ever see the movie Ken Park? You ever see that before?
No.
Joe or Dan?
No.
It's not Harmony Korine, Larry Clark, the guy who made Kids and all those weird movies.
Yeah.
It's a Larry Clark movie. It was banned in America. I used to search all over Kim's video for it. I finally found it. Now that the internet's here, you can just watch it whenever you want. But it's the way the internet is. But I did find it on DVD. It's a movie that's got actual penetration sex in it. But it's like, one of those weird, like, kids movies, kids movies. What do you like the film?
Like the movie Kids and Bully and like Gumbo.
Yes, but same guy who made Bully. Exactly same guy who made Bully. And there's a scene where they show a kid, a teenage kid, I guess. He ties a belt around his neck and the other side of it around top of a doorknob. And he goes in for the choke jerk.
Yeah.
He's hanging from the doorknob at his grandparents' house. He pulls out his dick and he beats to full spurt completion. They show the whole thing. And what is he jerking it to? The sounds of girls' tennis in the background. Because it's like, It's the only thing I could constantly think of watching girl wrestling, no audience WrestleMania. It's so uncomfortable. and weird, and it's just you're supposed to have an audience over those things. Even the guys, when the guys would do like a big move, like they do all these cool like acrobatics, and then finally the last one hits, and it's like, and the guy goes, it's like to nobody. You're supposed to have a whole audience go nuts for that.
You really are. They're. What were you gonna say, Joe?
I was going to say, watching that the other night, it was like when actors went from silent films to talkies. It was like, oh, that's what you sound like. Like we weren't supposed to ever hear that. You know what I mean? Like it's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's weird because it's like, have you tried to watch people harmonize online? Like there'll be people that are like, we're going to do a singing thing, and then they just can't do it because they're like, and like the timing's all off. Music doesn't work well on this kind of thing, and I don't think wrestling. I'm glad they did it, but you're right. There needs to be some sort of suppression fire for them making their noises, because even the guys' matches, after a couple, you just hear them out of breath, and they're like, which looks cool. Looks cool when you're watching wrestling normally, but if you hear it, there's kind of like all right, dude, stop and take a breath. What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. We got to talk about the AJ Styles.
Oh, you mean the Red Shoe Diaries fight?
One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, the fact that people loved it blew my fucking mind.
It's okay. I almost feel like that's padded by the WWE.
No, because I've talked to some people and they were like, I've talked to certain people that like it and they're like, no, it was like silly and weird and stupid, just like wrestling. And that argument I understand more than anything, because I'm like, the part of wrestling that is fun is when something just ridiculous happens that you're like, yeah, it's wrestling. Anything can happen.
No, for sure. I get that. But I mean, just like the things like, they're breaking the fourth wall already by, it's like, shut up, Mark Galloway, you know, and like the guy's calling, you're just an old man, and your wife and all, you listen to your wife all the time. And he's like, don't talk about my wife. And it's like, it gets like a personal thing like that. And then to be in the situation and like the barn like lights up behind, like,
dude, it was,
man,
there was parts where you're like, oh man,
like,
what
this sucks.
Also, if you're gonna do a fight like the Boneyard match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles, you have to shoot it shitty or amazing. You can't have the level, Jay, you nailed it. It looked like a CW show. It looked like it was like The Flash.
It was scored. They scored it.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Problem with it is it for me at least, it took you to it required such a level of suspension of disbelief that it was no longer wrestling to me anymore. It wasn't enjoyable anymore. The thing with wrestling is we know there's a script, we know there's a story, but they're still doing these amazing things in front of a live audience, and it's happening in real time, and it is real in that sense.
It's the way you do. It's the way you suspend disbelief when a comic's like, "Yeah, on the way here, fucking this happened."
Right.
And you're like, "I don't think that happened on the way
here." So then, when you take that thing, and then you take it into a world where it's clearly 100% choreographed, nothing is happening on the spot. No audibles are being called. Even less of it are actual feats happening in front of you than it would be in the ring or whatever. It's like, I don't even understand where I'm supposed to be with this as a fan right now. I'm really supposed to believe that cameras followed these two men to a public graveyard and just sat there without cops showing up or anything? Like,
dude, that was the thing at the end.
At this point,
that was the thing at the end. Is we kept on our text thread, we kept talking about, like, if this is real life, that's just like a guy who owns a barn, and he's like, "What are you guys doing? You toss him through my fence. I put that thing up with my son 2 summers ago."
Yeah, there's like the dug grave at one point, and like just the convenient stumbling of like he's like stumbling by the grave just enough so he can just get that one last kick to end up inside of it. Yeah. And there's always that like, whew, it's over now. He's in that grave, and then it's like he rises behind him. You're like, come on.
Well, and how about this? Like, how about this? When they do, like, they've done shit like the rising behind him gimmick or whatever. They've done that in the live show before or something along those lines.
Sure.
And it's crazy, but it's that to me, the difference between the stadium version of that and what we saw the other night, that's the difference between the play Cats and the movie Cats. You're like, when you're watching,
honestly,
that.
The greatest analogy I've heard for that fucking Undertaker AJ Styles match. That is perfect. It's in an arena that would have been Cats the play on Broadway, and what they tried to do with that is perfect. That's the perfect way to describe that.
Yeah, because when you're watching it in real time and Undertaker pulls off this weird resurrection move where suddenly he's behind him, I've seen that happen on the show before. And you're like, yes! It's so crazy. But in that, you're like, no, you just edited together a terrible effect. That was terrible.
My problem with that whole thing was that at some point during the thing, he goes, all right, AJ, we're going to get the shovel shot, and then it's lunch. Union rules. Crew's got to take lunch, and then we'll come back, and then we'll get the pinfall, and we'll wrap this thing up, man. And it's like,
guys, before we break for lunch, can we get those fireworks set up on the barn for Taker driving off on his Harley? All right, great. Let's do that.
Also one of the funniest things. Also one of the funniest things during that. Yeah, and then like the barn lit up with his name and everything was so bad. But the funniest thing about it to me was that AJ Styles, who I'm not super familiar with. That's a new guy to me, but he's been around for a long time, New Japan and all that stuff. Yeah, and you've sung his praises many times. Is that he was like there? He's like, "Hey, old man, you're just an old washed up man, you lame old man." And then Undertaker moves like the stuff off the gravestone, the AJ Styles gravestone, and it's like born 1977. You're like, this motherfucker's 42 years.
Yeah.
Old man. Yeah. We're all old men then.
Two middle-aged men beating up on each other.
I never, and it's some stunted thing in my head. I will never understand that a wrestler is my age. You know what I mean? In my head, they're all 50 years old. Like I can't, like they're all just older than me. They've been through more. I don't understand.
I think we lost Jay and Christine for a second, but I feel that way, DeRosa, about college basketball players. I always feel like they're older than me, even though I am 15 to 17 years older. Some of them could be my children, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like, those are older men that play college basketball, and I enjoy it as a little boy. And then you're like, these fucking guys are kids.
I've got it in a few areas, dude. Like wrestling, dude. Strippers. Every time I'm like. This is an older woman of the world.
This salty broad. She's seen it all. And they're like, how old are you? She's like, I'm 19. And you're like, ah.
You're like, what?
What's up? Yeah, I think bands, rock musicians, rappers. Like I always am like, oh, this guy's older. Like when I remember when I found out that Chance the Rapper was like 10 years younger than me. I was like, this is weird.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes no sense in my head. Yeah, especially modern day rappers because they have tats on their face and neck and shit. I'm like, this guy's been through some shit. And then they're like, no, I'm 21, dude. What?
Yeah. Just turned 21.
It was always weird being the same age as LeBron James.
LeBron. Yeah, LeBron. By the way, that's the perfect example. LeBron James is about to be, he's an elder statesman of the NBA now. Like now he's like, now we're like making fun of his hair loss with his wig, and he's like an older guy where he's like, I've got my championships, I've got my legacy. I remember when he was like a 16-year-old phenom.
What's their problem?
Cut off real quick from a WrestleMania video, but we're back with the full crew. I would almost tell you as I'm looking out the window that I would not think there's a quarantine today.
Sucks.
We still haven't solved the problem of do we roof it or do we not roof it?
I think you guys, can we vote as a crew? We got 6 votes, so this could end up split.
My vote, as we stand right now, is I think we should safely go over there, walk in the middle of the street if you have to, and go roof it for a little bit and just feel better.
Christine, what's your vote?
I'd like to go on the roof. I like to be outside, and it's like I don't really like being on the street, and then the backyard area only gets sunlight for like an hour and a half in the middle of the day. So just to be able to...
I think you just talked me into asking Katie if we can go on the roof. So I'm going to vote roof for everybody.
Yeah, dude. It's like Black Lou, you're able to go outside and get a little like sun and stuff. It's great, yeah. Jacob?
We have a small stoop.
Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, right. It's just like for your mental health.
I'm in Florida, so I go out usually, towards the end of the day when it's died down, I'll go for a run or go fishing. And
Well, no one asked you to tell us how fucking masculine you are, you son of a bitch.
Hey, sorry. Hey, Bear Grylls. I didn't realize you're out here fucking surviving the wild.
Do some body dips, whatever. Sometimes I cover myself in mud and fight a predator.
Tan Jacob is.
But I love gold. I love Kissed by the Sun Batat.
His hair looks great, by the way. He's crazy to be so. He looks so good. I even like with the glasses and everything. It looks good.
What's your hair looking like, Jake?
I shaved it.
See it or no?
I don't want
Great buzzed
As long as it
head.
doesn't-
You got a good buzzed head.
As long as you don't use it for anything.
Yeah,
Thank
come on,
you,
put the
Dan.
video out. Looks good, dude.
No, I
It
don't.
looks good.
I like that. You look good, man.
Joe looks good with his hair shaved close, but I'm a big fan of Joe's like long curly hair.
Dude, I see
you.
some old
Thank
pictures
you,
of
boys.
DeRosa, long curly DeRosa, like dude. Before I moved to New York, and I'm like, man, Joe's got to grow that shit out. That gets
Outshined me at my ex-wife's law school graduation, dude. He put on a suit. I didn't have a suit because I was fat, and and Joe had a nice suit, and he just wore a suit with the no tie, just like the couple buttons undone, and a nice. It's like a dark suit with a blue shirt. We have pictures of it. We had forever, and Joe's hair. He put a little product in it. It was super like tight, curly, but long. Ooh, smooth, dude. Smooth.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Jay. I don't remember that at all, but thank you.
I stared at you the entire time we went to that Brazilian steakhouse.
Oh, yeah, that steakhouse day. Oh, boy. There you go.
in that look, not so much, but
No, that's one of the bad look.
You look like our friend Gil there.
you look like Gil's little brother.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll find it. But I mean, yeah, I like that. Look, so anyways, we're taking votes. We're taking roof votes. Black Lou? DJ Lou, your thoughts?
It's 2 roofs. Actually, that's 4 roofs. So I think we're there. Witsky, what do you think?
Definitely roof. I'm going to play wiffle ball after we get out of here.
With who? What are you talking about, Lou? What do you mean? What? Don't correlate those two things. That's an insane thing to say.
No, I got my slow pitch softball league starting up today. You go, what?
I'm gonna throw my spitball.
I said to add my
Equating it to what you're doing.
thoughts.
What are you playing? Who are you playing wiffle ball with?
It's my brother and my girlfriend. Who else?
Just the 3 of you.
Yeah.
Where?
Big field outside my house. Beautiful New Jersey.
No one's out there.
No, we're going to move far away. If there's anybody walking, we're going to move way away.
All right. Okay. All right. That's not so bad. That's what I'm saying. We're going to a private roof.
All right. I'll roof it. But I got to figure some shit out. So I'll hit you with a time. And all right.
Yeah, cancel these shit, dude.
Roof it up.
I just feel bad. I don't want to bail on Anthony, man. I really don't want to.
Just today.
You know.
Yeah, tell him you'll do it. Tell him you'll do a rainy makeup day.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump off now and call and see if I can reschedule because I don't want to do it.
Just say it's the only day it's not rainy. So
Yeah, well, Joe, we love you very much. Thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for doing
I love
Laugh-Aid
you
with
guys.
us.
This was so fun. Oh, we'll do sandwiches. We forgot, but we'll do it another time.
Buddy, it'll be a weekly thing on the quarantine. We'll have you on next week to fucking bring
sandwich of the week. You already gave us your tuna recipe. Now we'll get the
recipe there.
You take that tuna recipe I gave you. You put a little provolone cheese and a Kaiser roll with it. You're not going to be upset. Trust me on that. All right, guys. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Thanks.
Bye, Joe.
Bye, Joe.
All right.
That tuna sandwich sounds like shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Now that he's gone, what the fuck was that dumb tuna idea?
That's why you don't let an A-Rod make you a tuna sandwich. I don't know about you guys, but that smells of hummus to me. I'm an old white guy from the middle of the country. I like mayo and tuna.
I'll have to check with him, but I'm pretty sure DeRosa also like always, he's adopted, and then always said that he was like considered. He thought he was Egyptian mostly.
Yeah.
I think he did a 23andMe and find out like 0 Egyptian maybe, and that was equally funny to find out. We had Nate Bargatze on Skanks last night.
Yeah.
He said they did 23andMe. He goes, lived his whole life like, that we're Italian. We're Italian. 0% Italian.
Really? What is he?
He goes, just regular white people shit, just like all, Europe stuff.
So funny and makes so much sense.
Zero Italian. I know, which is so funny. I was like, and we were like, good. I don't want to be one of them grease balls anyway.
Dude, that's funny. That's like being like, yeah, I'm an albino black guy. And then you're like, you know what? I'm just a white dude. Turns out,
just a white guy.
Turns out I'm just a fucking white guy with.
I'm an albino black guy. Yeah, I'm an albino black guy with the good hair.
Yeah.
And you go, no, dude, you're just fucking French.
Yeah, man. Turns out you're French and a little Dutch.
That sounds to me like somewhere in the Bargatze bloodline, a woman cheated on the Bargatze, got pregnant by a white guy, and then they all just went with that name. Because how do you get the Italian
Just because you come from a bunch of Armenian cousin fuckers doesn't mean that everybody else's lineage is all fucking
Jew. Don't call me a cousin fucker.
Whoa!
Wow!
There's literally
Quarantine is bringing it out.
Oh,
make sure you guys don't have diseases from all the inbreeding.
Oh, dude.
Damn.
Recommended to get a genetic test.
Christine goes hard in the paint during the fucking.
Maybe I'll fuck women with beards out of your family somehow.
Oh wow, dude! I want to drop so bad of you just going, "You're a Jew." If we can't get that drop,
Jay, man, that came through. Jew.
Jew.
You're like an extra on Schindler's List, like that little girl.
Yowzer, Christine. Sorry you didn't get the female lead in American History X, but that
you see is Jay holding his red lighter.
Jay, I just want to let you know I stand with you through this tough time and never again.
Damn, dude, that was crazy.
That was so funny. You're a bunch of cousin fuckers. You're a Jew. That was so fucking funny.
Yeah, Jews aren't allowed to call other people cousin fuckers.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, they're from 12 Tribes.
I'm coming down on Christine, but in reality, the entire Batat clan just married younger, way too young cousins. Yeah, like 12 and 13-year-old cousins.
Well, you guys should be more like my heritage, the Swedish, and just rape and pillage, because that worked out pretty fucking sick. I'm tall and got dense-ass bones.
Jacob's family story is like the fucking Great Balls of Fire, Jerry Lee Lewis story.
Yeah. Without piano playing?
Yeah, but no one had any piano talent.
Didn't ruin his career, though. In my family, it just, it's expected.
Yeah.
Now I loved that movie as a kid is unnerving. I just love the love story of a young girl falling in love with her older cousin.
I still haven't gotten over the fact that fucking Elvis was such a flagrant pedophile.
Just super into it.
Just like 13-year-olds in the bed with him, like that kind of shit. You're like, yikes.
What's the teen girl? It's not pedo. It's something else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tina Files, Teeny Bop.
So, though, with that movie, though, I think it took some of the sting out of it, because I think Winona Ryder was just dressed down to be a 13-year-old.
Yeah, she was like 30.
Yeah, I mean, I think she was legal when she shot it, at least.
They go, Winona, can you just hold this giant oversized lollipop, please? Thank you.
It's a phebophilia.
Phebophilia.
That's generally 15 to 19.
Well, isn't that
the title of the Bonnie Raitt song for that movie?
Yeah.
Are you ready for a phebophilia? It
ain't a part of mine. If you like tiny shoes, it's just
you like teenies. Are you ready for a thing called pedophilia?
So we still need to find where Corey Feldman calls you guys pedo apologists.
We gotta find
we
that.
gotta find where he is in the world. I don't even know where he's at.
We'll do some hunting.
Come on, man.
Ghost hunting?
Dude, I'm totally down with
hunting.
that.
I'm unblocked still.
Is this a job for Sam and Dean, the Winchester brothers? Jacob, you gonna stay with the show?
Yeah. Oh, I'm in, because first of all, it's like memory lane with all the girls that I watched.
Yeah.
Growing up, and then you're just seeing
Also,
crazy.
what's fun. Also, what's fun is that because the fact that the show goes until now, its final season is airing now.
Yeah.
Because you know that, and you're watching the beginning of the show, because I just didn't know about it. I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't know anything about it other than it exists, a show called Supernatural. Did not know it was on for 15 years. And what's really interesting is watching, it's still a modern show in so many ways, but you're like, oh, but just 15 years behind. So there's no iPhone doesn't exist on the
All
show.
flip phones.
And now it'll be, but in 3 years of this show, or 4 years maybe tops of this show, smartphones will be a thing involved in this somehow. Do you know what I mean? That's going to happen. Like there's a lot of the internet is not like their go-to thing. They have to for the internet, they have to go to like a place.
He's using a BlackBerry with a pen.
Yeah, they like pull out a Thomas guide and map their routes.
Yeah. But they also have who has a stylus on something. It was crazy.
Guys, we're going to need to visit this tomorrow on the show. Bad Baby. We've seen.
Oh, yeah, Black Lou sent it.
Yeah.
So she turned 18?
No, but it's really like, it shouldn't be legal for her to be posting what she's posting.
Let me see.
It's like entrapment.
Right. Thank you. Oh, you ready for a thing called love?
And everything going shipping up above.
Is that your 3 chords, Lou?
Guys, ready?
Wait.
Here, I'm showing it real quick. I'm just showing this. We got to go over this tomorrow.
Catch Me Outside Girl posted this video with her skin visibly darkened, and the internet doesn't recognize her. Oh, that's the issue? She darkened her skin?
She's I didn't know it was because of her darkened skin. I thought it was because she looks like a slut. Fucking child.
Let me see. That's her?
Yes.
Crazy, man.
Wow, dude, that is crazy. That's one, she looks like she's like 27 years old. 2,
How old is she, for real?
How are
I
they
think
letting her?
she's 16 now, maybe 17. She was 14 when she was on Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Black Lou just said it. She's 17, and she is going to be like an avocado and just be like, by 26, just be fucking.
I'll tell you what she's done. She will be done, and you're right. And by the way, through pictures and shit, like she's going to be hot for a couple years. She's going to look hot with the work she's doing on herself here, all this stuff she's getting done. But that said, she has made herself now 99% like fake. I don't mean personality wise. I mean like she's a blank canvas that someone has just airbrushed a person onto.
What's crazy is that
That's not the same human being. Her face, that if you were like, who is this? You could give me 100 guesses. I wouldn't have said her. I would have kept guessing black women first of all, probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's dive into this tomorrow on the episode.
Jeez.
I miss you guys so much, and I look forward to being in a room with you so much.
And then hopefully we'll get Joe.
I hope you guys are all right. I hope you have fun on the roof. Black Lou, I hope you're staying sane in Jersey. White Lou, I hope you're doing the same. Good luck with wiffle ball. Why don't you tune that guitar and fucking blow our minds tomorrow?
Tomorrow you come in and I'll sing, you play, dude. We're gonna do it so good. We both left Saturday.
Stay safe and stay away from your sweet, sweet mother.
Stay away from your mom until she brings you your braised lamb and fig jelly later.
I'm excited to let me know how her shank is. Jay, obviously I love you. Christine, you're the best. I love you too.
We love you, buddy. Stay safe in Jersey, y'all. Stay safe in Florida. We'll do our best to stay safe here. Everybody out there listening, stay safe wherever you are. We'll catch you next time on the Bonfire. Crackle, crackle.